This episode of the Resilience Playbook is brought to you by One America. One America helps people and businesses protect what matters most through employee benefits, life insurance, and long-term care protection. Learn more at oneamerica.com.
Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed the conversation that we were having before we actually came on. And I'm going to tell you right now, for all those that are watching, that are listening, this episode is going to hit on multiple levels. And I've known Dustin for close to 8 years. I'm just going to say it right now. Performance and your leadership have changed my son's life and the trajectory of his life forever. And we'll get into all that. And I just want to always start off with gratitude. The world needs more of it. And I am extremely grateful that you came into my life when you did. Your story's incredible. I watch exactly what you do with inside and outside of performance. And I just love the energy you bring to life. So what we're going to do on the show is everybody starts off with a proper introduction. And from there, man, we're going to let God do work. And my mom always said, let go and let God do work. And I just hope that when you walk out of here, you say, hey, that was not just a good use of my time, but also that you feel moved and we're actually deeper connected as friends through this conversation.
For sure.
But
I'm excited.
Before we even launch in, because this interview is going to be absolutely incredible, every guest gets a gift. And there's a story behind these gifts. So first is the honey, cabin honey. It comes from a good friend of mine, veteran. He got into honey, raising bees, etc., to deal with his PTSD. Served in Korea. Ended up being trapped under a mudslide. So moves back. Ultimately gets into becoming a beekeeper, and this is his love, his passion, his purpose. That's the honey. And so whenever you pour the honey, just know that it's being built by some hands that, that absolutely love what he's doing and has meaning in it, right? And then just some coffee, man. Some coffee from a great group of people out of Conway. But it's just as a token of appreciation for you coming on.
I appreciate it very much.
Man, really do. Well, all right, look, let's just dive right in.
Okay.
I'm going to read your bio, and then Alex has something special that we're going to watch, and then I think that will really just kick off this conversation. All right, Dustin Moseley. Dustin Moseley is a former MLB pitcher from 2000 to 2014 and owner of Performance Sports Academy in Little Rock. First-round draft pick, 34th overall by the Cincinnati Reds in 2000, straight out of high school. Dustin played 7 MLB seasons with the Los Angeles Angels, New York Yankees, and San Diego Padres. In 2014, he opened Performance Sports Academy, where he coaches youth, collegiate, and professional athletes in baseball and softball with a focus on accountability, work ethic, and long-term development. There's more to the story than just that. That's what we have. You've got a beautiful family. You're a devout Christian, which is incredibly important. You have drawn me closer to Christ, just being around you. That proximity, it truly does influence others. And we'll get into more around performance a little bit later. But first, let's watch a video. Alex, you got the video ready? Thanks, Alex. All right.
It was a good game. Standing O there.
Did you get a standing O?
Yeah. New York.
So when you watch that, though, how does that make you feel?
Proud.
Yeah, as it should be. And the one thing that I had on my mind when I watched it comes back to, like, most people think, when they think of an MLB pitcher, right, they think one thing, but there's things that they don't see, right? There's things that, of course, they're not going to feel, especially in a moment like that. They assume they know what your life is like, but they really don't.
Sure.
So what are the things that, honestly, no one ever sees when it comes to being a pitcher of that caliber?
I think that the time, the things you miss for, 12 years, 14 years, whether it be a celebration for someone or a class reunion or any of those things, there's a lot that's missed, right? There's a sacrifice there. The amount of time spent. I remember having friends come watch me in Arlington, and one guy texted me at like 4:30. He's like, "You want to grab some food?" It's like, I've been at the park since 1, bud. Like, I don't just show up for the game, you know? So there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it. And it's a year-round thing. I mean, if you want to be a big leaguer and you want to have that mindset, it is a 12-month process. And I started to convert everywhere I lived of homes I bought. I would convert the garage into a gym. And the reason I would do that is that when I was living in Texarkana, when I would go to the gym, because I'm a nice guy, I had a tough time. The headphones didn't give it away. I didn't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And so people would talk to you. So in a smaller town too, if you don't talk, now all of a sudden you're a jerk or whatever. So I was like, you know what? I had one incident that just like broke the camel's back. And I was just like, I'm just going to convert every garage into a gym. So it's kind of where the performance thing probably all happened. But I think that's the biggest piece, is that it is a lot of people, I say nowadays, a lot of people, it's a fantasy to play big leagues or in the NFL or, you know, NBA or any type of, you know, high level professional sport, because they don't quite understand the sacrifice that goes into it. And they're not willing to sacrifice. They'll do a little bit at a time. They watch social media and say, oh, that'll be me one day. But it's not even a dream for some people. I think it's a fantasy because there's so much that goes along with the process of being great.
So you were drafted straight out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you made that decision to go pro, like what was the thought process that went into going pro versus the college route?
Yeah. I'll back up just a little bit and kind of tell you how it happened for the people out here who have kids that have this dream.
That's what I'm curious about. Yeah.
So, you know, things were much different than they are now. You can organically grow anything if you're talented because of social media. But back then you really had to have a scout, a bird dog scout, someone see you at the right time. And so we were actually in North Little Rock, Burns Park, playing in this Colts tournament. And it was a big tournament for Legion baseball before all the showcase travel balls started. So Legion was it. Like if you made the Texarkana, Arkansas side, Legion team, or Texas side, you're a dude. And so, you know, we went there and I won pitcher MVP, offensive MVP, and overall MVP. The only thing I didn't get is defensive MVP. And there was a guy named Alex Slattery there who's a bird dog scout for the Chicago White Sox. So afterwards, he comes up, he talks to us, and he says, hey, can I take him to Chicago to try out for the area code team? And my dad was like, who are you? Like, first of all, who are you? You know, like, let's get to the ball. And so anyways, he loaded us up. I think it was the next day or day after. We jumped in his 4Runner, me and 2 other guys, and we drove to Chicago. I threw there, got a call, made the team, went to Long Beach where the area codes were, all the best players. I had no idea. But I was so confident because I had so much success. I was like, it doesn't matter who I face. I went there. There were scouts everywhere. I mean, you look up, there's hundreds of scouts with guns up, and I carved these dudes up down there. And then all of a sudden, we get home. Back in the day, you know, for all the kids out there was a phone would link to a message system. And we got home, and there was 21 messages on that answer machine, and they were all from Division I schools. So literally had not a whole lot of interest before that. Get home, and everything exploded.
And you were a senior at this point?
I was a junior.
Oh, you were a junior?
I was a junior.
Okay.
My junior summer. And so then I went and played in the fall with the White Sox area code team. We played in this tournament, and I went down there and faced even more of the top players. I was up to 93, 94 miles an hour. They let me swing the bat. I hit a ball off the wall. You know, I did a bunch of things. And everyone says that's where Dustin Moseley made his money. Like that fall, like the summer got me on the map. The fall just kind of stamped the approval of like, this dude can play. And then they started projecting me as a top 5-round draft pick. And then my first start in high school was against Texas High. There were 33 major league scouts there. There were more guns and scouts than I think there were our fans. And I dominated. Again, the velocity was there, the athleticism that they wanted. And now it was starting to project into this guy's going to be a first-round draft pick. And it literally happened that fast for me into all of it. And so then, I went on multiple visits. I had an official visit to Texas A&M, official visit to Arkansas. I took an official visit to Arkansas State. They were the first people to ever get on me. I thought I owed it to them to at least see the campus and hear what they had to say. Really enjoyed my visit there. I also had one set up for Tennessee, which was going to be my 5th one, but I decided to commit to Arkansas, Texas, University of Texas. And I was going to go to Texas, man. I mean, we didn't have any money. They offered me 90%. I remember going to the apartments of the players, and I'm like, you get all that protein for free. like I'm in, And they rolled the red carpet out, and the coach that was there, Augie Garrido was still there.
Oh, yeah.
So the sit down was great. And there's a whole other story. I won't get into it. And so I was dealing with Norm DeBrine, and Coach Montez was the pitching coach, Tim Montez. And they would not. They were like, my dad did the greatest negotiating, man. He was like, well, hey, they're at 85, and I could hear the phone call because the house was so small and the walls were so thin, and he was just negotiating all this. And anyways, we ended up getting 100% offer from Arkansas back when that never happened. And I saw Coach DeBron 5 or 6 years ago, and he says, I don't think we've ever done that, but I had just had knee surgery, and Montez comes in right after. He says, I was still drugged up, and he's like, do whatever you got to do. Let's get him to Arkansas. And anyways, it worked well for that recruiting class. But when I got drafted in the first round, then it was like, okay, I think I want to play pro ball. I think this is where I want to go. And at that place, when you get drafted, where that slot value was right around $1 million, that's life-changing for me and my family, where we came from. So I really wanted to play pro ball. And it really came down to the last day. Like I was starting to pack my stuff to go to Arkansas because we couldn't get the deal done with Cincinnati. And we finally got it done like on the last hour. And anyways, that's how it all worked, man. Kind of a brief overview.
Well, no, I love it. At 18, though, what was your maturity level at 18?
High.
Was it very high? It had to be. It would have to be if you're, again, that disciplined in the sport and you made a decision to go pro. When you made that decision and you were drafted when you were drafted, what did that feel like? Was it just like, hey, it's go time? I mean, was there any point where you felt any like imposter syndrome or like when you got to the Reds or the training camp? Did you start in single A? Is that where you started, or do you automatically go to double A? How does that work?
Actually, after I got drafted that year, I went to instructional league. So it's a postseason. They bring all the kind of the prospects or kids that they need to do some work. So I went there first. And then I started in low A, which was in Dayton, Ohio. Yeah.
So when you're going down that path, though, and you've experienced a lot of success up to this point, was there ever a point to where you looked across the field and you said, you know what, this is where I belong? Or did you ever look across the field and say, man, this is going to be a lot tougher than I expected? Or is it one of those things you just showed up and you're like, hey, I'm just going to execute. I'm going to go play ball?
As well as I can remember it, I was just like, I'm ready to do this. I'm going to make the team out of camp. I got invited to big league camp at 19 years old. My agent negotiated into the deal. I didn't earn that. It was negotiated. And I actually pitched really, really well against big leaguers. And I thought I'm going to make the team with never pitching an inning in minor league in my mind, right? Which is not going to happen. It's not possible. But that's where I was. I had so much confidence. But I was also very prepared. I was doing things that kids weren't doing. I used to get in trouble going to the gym after the ball game because I'd have dirty pants on. Cody, who still owns a Legends Gym in Texarkana, he'd be like, man, can you bring some shorts or something extra? I appreciate the work ethic, but brother, you're getting dirt everywhere, And I was like, I'm sorry. But no, I had a next level focus of what I wanted to do. The basketball coach, LG Richards, who's still one of my favorite coaches of all time, started out as my least favorite coaches because he's so hard on me.
Did you play basketball?
I played basketball, I played football, I played everything.
You played every sport.
Yeah, I didn't play football my junior, senior year. That would be a whole nother podcast of how that went down because I was projected to be like Mike Cherry, who played for the New York Giants at the quarterback position. So overall, I was just a really good athlete. And I tell people all the time, especially the kids I work with, that there was a lot of pieces for me I didn't really earn. Like these were gifted. I could just pick up a golf club and kind of look the part and grab a bowling ball or grab a ping pong paddle and kind of get good at it if you give me a couple hours to do it. So the mind-body connection was really a blessing. And then add in mom and dad, discipline. You got to do these type of things. But yeah, going back to the baseball piece of it, I was just locked in really early. I had a lot of responsibility too as a kid. I was the older brother. We didn't have a lot. We had enough. I had mom and dad, and so there were high expectations. And, this is a tough conversation sometimes for people where they kind of go back and they talk about the trauma of the past or anything else. I don't see it as that. I see it as the building, all those things were going to build me who I was going to be. But my life with my dad was very performance-based. I was treated differently depending on how well I was doing in sports. So that, being the older brother, little brother, my little brother was like the cutest kid and coolest kid, everything too. I was a little bit of an annoying little kid when I watched back at like Christmas videos. And so there's that part of me trying to earn the attention too. And so I think that once I found, I was like, man, I'm pretty good at these sports. I'm going to start lifting these weights. My dad bought a little universal workout thing. You just walk around. It was like butterflies, press, squat. And, you know, he used to hold me accountable to do it. And then when I kind of fell in love with the training, I was like, I can get out here and I can take out all my frustration of whatever's going on at home, whatever's going on at school. This can kind of be my little kind of safe place. And I go out there in that tape deck with those speakers that my dad built in from an old truck he took out of. And I would put Eagles cassette tape in, AC/DC, you know, whatever it was listened to. And that's what I would do.
What drew you to baseball though? Like over the other sports?
I was better at it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, was there something inside the game though that you loved more than anything?
I just loved to compete.
So like getting on the mound, like that was
loved it. I was just good at it.
Yeah.
Basketball is my favorite sport. Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah. Basketball is my favorite sport. I want to be Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Right.
You know? That's who I wanted to be. But no, I played everything. And people used to ask my dad after I had got drafted, they would say, hey, you know, when did he focus on one sport? And he said he never did. And he said, how come? He goes, well, there's two reasons. His rule of thought was two. One, he's pretty good at all of them. We don't know which one he's going to be the best at. We're looking for a scholarship out of something because we can't afford to send him to school. And two, where I grew up, he was just trying to keep me out of trouble. The more busy you are, the less idle and free time you have, then we can keep you engaged. But he also did a great job of just accountability, right? Do I do it a little bit different with Coop and Avery? I do. I think there's a better way of going about it. He was just doing what he knew. There's no playbook on this, you know?
Yeah, truth. Yeah, truth. And when you made that jump to pro ball, all right, what was that progression like?
So I mean, it's a normal minor league kind of career getting to the big leagues for a high school player. So I started in A-ball, which was Dayton, Ohio. I played there the entire year, had a successful year, threw 150 innings, something like that. 19 years old, one of the top starters. I made the all-star team in A-ball after that year or during that year. And then I went to High, which was in Stockton, California. Really pitched well there. Made the all-star team again. Halfway through that season, I was already in Double-A. Went to Double-A, pitched really, really well. Finished that season up. I think that year I got to go to big league camp, or the following year I did. And then I started back in Chattanooga, Tennessee, is where Double-A was. And I mean, pitched really well. So then I got called.
How old were you?
21.
So you went in at 19.
I went at 19. So now I'm 21. Pitched extremely well in Double-A. Had like a 2-something ERA. Got called to Triple-A. Went up to Triple-A and dominated Triple-A at 21 years old. And so I thought I was going to get called up that year, or some other things happened. It was also the year 2004 was the year my dad passed. And so I thought I was going to get called up. Some of the scouts and the pitching coordinators came and would pull me aside and say, hey, they're just being really transparent with me, which was cool. And it's like, man, it's probably not going to happen this year. We still want to give you some time to season. And they were smart to do that. I still need to develop that third pitch a little bit more, which was the changeup. And so I did that. And then I got to go to the Arizona Fall League, which was, organizations will send their top prospects to the Fall League. I played for the Scottsdale Scorpions and pitched. I led the league in ERA almost the entire Fall League. And then from there, I got a call that I had been traded to the Angels for Ramon Ortiz, which was a big leaguer. So getting traded as a minor leaguer for a big leaguer was kind of cool. And so then I went to the Angels, went to big league camp there, pitched really well, went to Salt Lake City. Halfway through the season, started having some shoulder issues. To blame that, it's really cold in Salt Lake City. The pitching coach wanted to talk a lot, so you're trying to throw a bullpen, and so you're just getting hot, getting cold, getting hot, getting cold. And I never really pitched in that type of environment of cold too. So preparation of the body and getting things going, I think, didn't help. And so 2005, I then went to Tempe, Arizona, and went to a place called Physiotherapy with Keith Coker, kind of where the passion got started for performance, because they had this super cool place. I was going to
ask that.
Yeah, that's where it started. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do when I'm done. This place was super cool. It was like Chicago Cub players, Angels, everybody, Phoenix Suns were coming in there. Like, it was all these guys. But they also had, like, the general pop people coming in for rehab. They had cages, bullpens, half basketball court, full weight room. And it was just like a bunch of dudes just and female athletes getting after it. It was like, this is awesome. And so anyways, I rehab there, got stronger. I mean, learned a lot about how to take better care of my body. It was actually it was a blessing. Really down about it too, because I was so close and just getting traded.
Was this your first time getting injured?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So like when you first got injured, did it send you for a loop?
It did. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've never been hurt ever.
Right.
Yeah, it did. It was tough. There was times, that's when it kind of started, where I'd go to Barnes & Noble or just, try to jump on the internet. Internet wasn't anything where it is now, but just try to find something for information of how I felt inside.
Right.
Because you feel like the man, everything is going, you get traded, you're in big league camp, you're doing your thing, you're close to the big leagues, and all of a sudden nobody even really checks in on you. You've just been sent over here to Tempe, Arizona with great therapists, but you don't really hear from anybody. No coaches, players. You may talk to your buddies, but they're focused. They're trying to lock in for their season.
In that moment in time, did it basically hit you? It's like, hey, this is pure business? Or you understood that when
I
you
knew
went
it
in?
before, man. My mom said that I wouldn't wear a shirt unless it had a number on it. Like, I wanted to be a pro player.
Right.
I wanted a baseball card or a basketball card. Like,
you were obsessed.
I was.
Yeah, you were obsessed. Were you and Carly together at that time?
Yeah. So we started dating her senior year. She's 1 year younger than me. So it was after my first season of pro ball. So I had a girlfriend during that time. She had, 2000 instructional league. She had a boyfriend, and when I came home that off season, it kind of all just, we've always been friends, hanging out. And then it was like, I broke up with my girlfriend, same thing with the boyfriend. And next thing you know, we're hanging out.
When you got hurt, you two were together.
Yeah, we were.
So like, how much did you share with her? Like,
a lot.
Who was that one person, I guess you would take that?
My mom.
That makes
Carly,
sense to
mom.
me.
Yeah. Those are the two people.
So you're rehabbing
in Tempe, Arizona.
And then once you finish rehab, are you back in AAA or are you?
Yeah, I was back in AAA.
You're back in AAA. All right. So that was your first stint with an injury, because a lot of the reason why I bring up the injury piece, and it's like this morning, I was training with somebody and they're letting their fitness outpace their durability. So they're constantly getting injured. Well, then it sends a tremendous amount of, it takes a tremendous amount of emotion to overcome the psychological piece of it, right? Like, man, here I go again.
Yep.
And then as a big time athlete, you never were injured before. This was the first time you got injured. Like, when no one was around, like, what were you feeling? Like, what were you experiencing mentally and emotionally?
Probably the best word would be just kind of loneliness.
Loneliness?
Yeah. Yeah. And the lack of competition. That's like everything was built around competition. I loved it. Overly competitive.
Yeah.
Friends get mad at you, so competitive. Play 10 basketball games where a guy's better than you, and it's midnight. Hey, one more.
One more. Give me one more.
One more.
So you're back in AAA, though. So you rehab, you're back in AAA. During that time period, from the time you were 19 to 21, who would you say had the greatest impact on you as a coach? Who crossed your path during that time that, honestly, if you called them today and they were still with us, you would feel a deep connection talking to them over the phone?
I would probably say my pitching coach in AA, Bill Maloney was his name.
What made him such a great coach?
Just more personable. A lot of these coaches are trying to get the big leagues too. They're trying to put stamp of approvals on guys. There's so many pro players that should have played in the big leagues for a long time, but they allowed coaches to screw them up. To be too coachable is a problem. These guys, a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. Now, maybe more of them do now, but back then, but Bill did. But Bill was also, it was you and him working through it. It wasn't just him. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a dictatorship.
Yeah.
It was like, what do you feel? What do you think? And if you ask the kids, does Dustin, how's his lesson go? It's like, he asked me 1,000 questions. The questions I'm asking is just to see what they're thinking, or what do they know. But a lot of that started just from having coaches like Bill going through the process of it all. But at the same time, because the pace of that business and the guys that are in and out and creating relationships too, is that you lose contact with people very easily. And the coaches, they're on a mission. They're busy. They have a lot of stuff to do every single night of processing all the data back into the system. I'm sure it's much easier now, or maybe it might be more complicated. I don't know. But they would have to take all the charts. So you understand it. You, after your first injury and not really hearing, and then you just kind of look around, you start to understand, hey, you know what? It's not that they don't like me, or it's not that they don't think about me. It's just the fact that they got a lot to do and they got other guys they have to concern themselves with. And that's probably the biggest part for an athlete. He's just thinking, oh my goodness, I was on top of the mountain and now no one even checks in on me. Well, it's not that they don't think about you. And you would get random texts, where people, and you're like, well, this is cool, but it wouldn't be anything more than that. And sometimes you long for more than that. And losing my dad, relying on my mom, sometimes you didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And here's the other part. I'm going to talk to you about my issues as I'm a pro baseball player with $1 million in my pocket. There's not a whole lot of people you talk about. They don't feel sorry for you at all, right? Like, and it's not like you're looking for someone to feel sorry for you, but you're a little bit of empathy of and understanding of what you're going through, because your dream is to get here and now you're hurt and you feel like, uh-oh, is this injury so severe that I won't be able to live out my dream? So,
well, and that's why I asked about the maturation when you were 18 or 19, right? Like, you go from playing in Texarkana and you sign a pro deal, and then boom, I mean, you start moving up really, really quickly.
Yep.
And it's not if life happens, it's when it happens.
Yep.
At the end of the day, and how you respond to it's the ultimate test and the ultimate grade, especially, losing a father. I mean, during that entire time, when that occurred, Dustin, did it take you off your path? I mean, did it just
spiritually?
Yeah, spiritually, I would.
Yeah.
Spiritually, it took you off your path.
Yeah, but not as far as the sport went. I felt a little down. I'll share a little bit of that, and if we want to talk further into it, I'll let you lead that. But so that was in the middle of the season when I was in AA.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So my dad, when you understand my dad's life, lived in Little Rock till he was 14 years old. His dad, who was a much older dad, passed away. Don't know a whole lot about my grandfather. He never really talked about him. Passed away, had to go live with an estranged mom in Texarkana that sent him $5 on his birthday. That's it. That's the only communication he had up until 14 years old. Had to go live. The boyfriend or stepdad or whatever else didn't like my dad. So that was tough, right? Obviously, you don't think your mom, heck, she never even checks on me or comes to see me. And so he started running a paper route on a bicycle, saved up his money, got a motorcycle, and started doing that. And Dad was a little rough around the edges. He liked to be at the pool halls, and he liked to dabble in different things. But anyways, met my mom. He ended up, she really, I think, helped kind of change his life around. And then he became a firefighter. That helped, right? That clubhouse environment, those guys, that brotherhood. And so then he grew through it, and then he ended up becoming a paramedic. Then he was on air flight. He was on all the air life. He's one of the top paramedics. He was getting called to do all kinds of cool stuff. Super smart, good work ethic. Just needed that guidance and somebody just to kind of get him back in line, because he's kind of on his own since he was 14 in a way. It's not like my grandfather did a great job of creating discipline in his life. It sounded like it was a pretty tough household with him and his sisters. And then so he did that, and then he worked into a position where he was kind of head of the ground operations of LifeNet, which is still in Texarkana, which is the ambulance company. And so he just did that. Man, he was super involved with all of us, coached all my teams, did all those things. And then the year after I got drafted and left, I think it was 44, 45. And they came in and cleaned house at LifeNet of all the top people, because there's one guy up top that was basically ciphering like medical equipment and drugs and selling them out. And so they were all kind of caught in the mix. I don't know the whole story, if my dad was involved in that or not. He's never a guy. He would give you the shirt off his back. I don't think he'd be stealing stuff, but they fired everybody. And so when that happens, got pretty depressed. We're on this high with Dustin. Oh my gosh, my son just got drafted in the first round. Doesn't happen. Now all of a sudden, here I am. I don't have a college degree. I lost my job. What a loser I am, right? That was kind of the mindset that he had. he started working for my drug addict uncle, who anytime I saw him at Thanksgiving, the guy was always high, but he owned a roofing company. And so my dad started doing that. And then my dad was just struggling with just having any type of motivation. My uncle introduced him to methamphetamine. Methamphetamine led to where most always leads us to, right? One of three places. And he was on it, he was off, he was on it, he was off. Him and my mom found it, divorce, a lot of stuff. It wasn't just like a divorce. It was lots of conversation, counseling. Ended up had to get him out of the house because my brother was still there. My dad was being very erratic because of the drugs. And then when I got that call, it was so crazy because that week we were in Birmingham, Alabama, and at the YMCA. I'll never forget this. And I had this overwhelming sense of like just to pray. And I was like, God, because of some of the stuff that had been going on, I was like, dude, you've got to either clean them up or take them out. That was my prayer. Like, this is miserable for me, my family. I'm concerned about my mom's well-being. I'm concerned about my brother's well-being because this isn't the guy that was my dad. It's a completely different person. So you go through that process, and that was my prayer. And then we went to our next stop, and we were in Sevierville, and I got that call. My mom called me, and I knew. I was like, I knew, because he had already the year before, he had called us his off season. I'm on the railroad tracks. I can't do this anymore, all this kind of stuff. And, he kind of talked about some things, but, I mean, you don't know to take it serious if he's just looking for attention, because he was striving for a lot of attention at that time, if it's real. And so that's when we were like, okay, it's real. We actually brought him up here to Little Rock. Within like 3 days, the dude had himself checked out. The doctors were high-fiving. The nurses loved him. He was that kind of personality. And you can't keep people in there. They can check in, check out when they want to. And so a lot of things happen. And, when I had that prayer, again, to this day, I remember it was like the prayer needed to be had. And it was sadness, but it was always overwhelming relief that we don't have to deal with this nonsense anymore. I'm going to miss him, but man, he hasn't been the same guy for 3 or 4 years. Like, trying to remember of that guy, I've done a good job as I've matured through, especially I've had kids, remembering that. I remember those last couple of years. But man, there's so much more to that story that could have been so horrific. The night before that event occurred, he had broken on my mom. My brother spent out with a friend at 3 a.m. And had a bag full of tape, guns, all kinds of stuff. And so by the grace of God, my mom's still here. But you hear these stories, right? Murder, suicide type things.
Your mother's an angel.
She is.
She's an angel.
Yeah. And that's why I believe that she was protected because of her relationship with God in such a way. And that's, again, be a whole nother podcast to talk about the depth of all that. But all those things happened that led to it. And so in 2004, when it happened, when you ask about, like, did it take me off my path? No, it actually almost created a little bit of freedom, because even though my dad was, on the phone, it was still sometimes a struggle. Hey, what happened last night?
Mm-hmm.
I sucked. Why? Yeah, I mean, you're like having to explain, from a performance base, and then you're like, all right, man. Now you feel like judged again, like it's junior high or high school all over again. And so sometimes I wouldn't pick up that phone, because it's just like, right? If I did good, I'd pick it up. If I didn't do good, I wouldn't pick it up, because I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I know, Dad, I got coaches helping me through this. I don't need you checking in on me. The level of accountability during that time was still the same, but now you've lost my respect, because you're not accountable and you're not very disciplined with the way you're living your life, right? And that's one of the things I tell parents all the time. They'll say, man, he's just not doing the stuff you're telling him to do. And when I get comfortable enough and have a good enough relationship with him, I pull him aside and I said, because he's watching you. I can talk to him till I'm blue in the face. But if he lived with me, he would be following the program, because Coop don't have a choice. You tell me you want to play in the NFL, I know the path to that. Here are the things we have to do. And they're non-negotiable. They have to be done every single day. So that part of it, with Dad and everything else, went to it. And then 2004, when I was in AAA, I think the average age was like 32 years old. I'm 21.
Seriously?
Oh, we were old, man. A lot of like former big leaguers like had some time Cincinnati wasn't very good back then. Cincinnati had been very good for forever, but they weren't very good back then. And so I had all these older guys around me, and I remember going in one day, and I was really struggling. And I won't say names, but right next to my locker was an older gentleman, had been playing for a while. And he said,
has he been bouncing back and forth?
Yeah, he probably, I don't know, I have to go look. I mean, he probably had 4 or 5 years of service time. So
oh, wow.
he's a legitimate big leaguer.
Yeah.
Not like he had a cup of coffee. And not that a cup of coffee is not a legitimate big leaguer, but a long time.
What you mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And so anyways, we're sitting there and he was like, "You good, man?" And I'm like, "Just been struggling getting up for games." He's like, "Don't look like it. You dealing, brother?" And I said, "I don't know, man. Just feels weird." And so we started talking a little bit, and he knew with my dad and, a lot of the guys on the team knew what was going on. And so he was like, "Man, you should try this right here." And I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "It's called a greenie." And so it was like a Mexican amphetamine pill, diet pill. And I was like, "Oh." He's like, "We all take them, man. We put them in our coffee and take them. They're illegal now." Everybody did. I didn't know. I was so green. I'm a Southern Baptist kid.
Right.
I don't really drink. I don't do anything. Never done drugs in my life. And it's what's so funny about it is like you lose your dad to a drug. You don't know much about the drug,
Sure.
but then this is kind of in the same level of that drug of amphetamine, right? And so anyways, I take it and it was like a limitless pill. I was like, "Yo, I'm dialed. I feel great." And I took it one time. 2 days later, we had a drug test.
Holy cow.
Almost all the team failed the drug test. So yeah, back then.
What do they do? What do they do in that situation?
Back then, it was just kind of a slap on the hand. And if it was a multiple offense, then you may get suspended. But it was almost the whole team. And so they called everybody in and kind of talked through it and says you have, basically two choices. There's like 1 service suspension or go to counseling. And I was like, perfect. I'll go to counseling. And so anyways, that was the greatest thing ever happened, because when I got in there, the lady that I was with realized real quickly that I don't have any type of drug addiction or issue, but the other stuff I had going on. So we got to work through all that for free. Like in season, I got to work through all my dad's stuff, write him a letter, burn it, do all the, all the different things, all the things. And that was super helpful for me. And then I started to get back into my old mode where I didn't need to use some substance to get me up. It's like, how can you not be up for a ball game when this is your dream? You know, like you should be nervous and anxious every single start of your professional career. And I didn't understand that with people. They just feel so calm and so chill. And I used to kind of wish for that. But then as I got to the big leagues, I realized like all the guys that just didn't really feel anything, didn't ever make it to the big leagues. It's like you had to have that. In my opinion, high level athletes are able to transfer that energy into like, I'm geeked up for this game, right? Rather than
you're stepping into the arena.
I'm scared of this game, right? And that's the biggest part of trying to work through these guys of mental strength and mental toughness. And the dad's like, or the coaches, we hear this like, they're just mentally weak, man. They're physically weak and everything else. And I'm like, well, help them. But how are they going to get mentally strong if they've never been through the exercise and experience?
Well, it goes back to what you said earlier, and this is something you and I talk about all the time. Number one, you never go see a dentist with bad teeth. So why is a child, a young man, or even a young female athlete going to listen to what you have to say, especially at an age when they notice everything?
Yep.
Right? If you're not wearing your seatbelt, why are they going to need to wear their seatbelt?
Right.
Simple example there.
Yep.
Same thing with the dads that I see at ballparks. And again, I'm not sitting on a seat of judgment.
No.
But the facts are, if you're not willing to take care of your health, which is your greatest wealth, that young man is going to look at you and say, hey, you can't tell me what I can and can't do or what I should do from a training perspective.
That's right. Yep.
You can't even run to touch the foul pole.
That's right.
With me.
And it's really tough on the female athletes because they watch their moms and their moms just snack.
Truth. And I saw a statistic the other day, and it was on Youth Inc., and it was with Greg Olson and Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a great podcast. There's a great show between him and Tom, and it said, like, at the end of the show, it said 70% of all youth athletes are quitting by the age of 13.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, it lists the reasons why, from winning at all costs and, parents, so on and so forth. But that's why, like, what you have built, like at Performance and going back to your pro career, is you're taking all the lessons learned that you've learned down the path. You can't do the work for somebody. Don't expect results you're not willing to put the work in to go get.
Right.
But that's what has become so valuable for, the young men and women that go to pro.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you definitely leave them better than you found them. Going back to that pro career, though, like when you made that final leap from AAA to majors, when you got the call, like when was that? Like specifically, and do you remember where you were, time, place?
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah. So I was in Salt Lake City, and man, we had a staff. Check out this staff: Dustin Moseley, Jared Weaver, Irvin Santana,
Holy
Joe
cow.
Saunders, Casey Ohlenberger. That was our starters.
Holy cow.
Casey's the only guy to make the big leagues, but Joe probably had 10 years, close to it. Obviously, Jared Weaver had however many years. We know Jared Weaver. And Irvin Santana had 13, 14, 15-year career. Crazy. That was our staff. Now, Weaver was gone. I mean, he was like blowing 95, 97, throwing shutouts every single game. So he was in the big leagues probably by end of May, early June. And then he went and did the same thing in the big leagues. Irvin got called up. We all kind of got called up. The big leaguers were getting beat up a little bit. And so I went and made a start I think it was for Bartolo Colon.
I was about to say, how does that work? Like when you get called up, how does that specifically work?
Yeah, so when I got traded over to the Angels, they put me on the 40-man roster. And so, you got getting put on the roster is a really awesome, it's a congratulatory,
Absolutely.
Like you're doing your thing, brother. We believe in you. And so, guys get hurt up there and they usually go to AAA. Sometimes they go to AA because you got a lot of high-level prospects in AA. And they'll just see who's doing well and who they think can come up and help them. And Angels were very competitive, when I was there, 06 to 09.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they had really went through the list, right? It was like Jared, Irvin, Joe. Me and Joe went up at the same time to make starts together. Like we flew together up there to go make starts. And so, yeah, I started. I was we were in Sacramento, California. Brian Harper was the coach, and he called me in the office. He thought I got called up before, because just the maturation, how well I pitched. And I came from Cincinnati, and so he called me in there and was like, "Hey man, you're going up." And I'm like, "Going up where?" He's like, "The big leagues." And so then my response, he was like, "Have you never been called up?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh my God, dude, I feel horrible. Like we should have made this a bigger deal."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, you're good."
Yeah, welcome to the big leagues, man.
Yeah. So I called Mom, got them all together. Her and my brother, flew out, and obviously Carly was there, and I went up and made my start against the Cleveland Indians, and it was okay. I got a win, which is are tough to come by.
Yeah.
I think I threw 5 innings. I gave up 9 or 10 hits. 4 or 5 runs, but kept us in the game. But it was a little difficult because I threw heavy sinkers, right? So they have a ton of horizontal movement and vertical movement to them too. But the ball that we use in AAA had different seams than in the big leagues. So when I got there, and
is that standard to today?
No, they switched it. Now AAA has it. I've always said everyone should have the same ball, because if that's what I'm trying to learn how to pitch with. But when I went up, I was having a tough time commanding my fastball, which that was
Were the seams just thicker or
they're lower?
They're lower. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that ball was just taking off. So where I would normally aim, I'm having to make that adjustment. I started to figure it out as you got deeper in the game, but I was behind. If you get behind accounts in the big leagues, you're going to have zero success. Those hitters are so good. And if they can go up there sitting on a fastball, it doesn't matter how hard you throw or where you throw it, they're going to piece something up because they're just that good. So if you can't get ahead in counts, and then if you can't change speeds, you're not going to have any success. And by the 5th or 6th inning, when they come through for the 3rd time of their at bat, if you don't have some weapon that's getting them off, or maybe you haven't showed them all your weapons, they're going to get you.
When you made that first start, I mean, were you more amped than you normally were?
Oh yeah. I don't remember it very well.
You just blacked out
a little bit.
Yeah.
Man, it was so fast. Like everything, it's the same game.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. What's the difference?
The dimensions are pretty much the same.
What's I guess when I say
internal, it's just all internal. There's nothing external. I mean, you can take external things and think about Is this going to be tougher because there's more pressure? It should be less pressure. It's all you always wanted to live for.
I guess that's why I'm asking the question. It's like you make this start, like you get your shot.
Yep.
Right? Like, is there a flood of emotions like if I screw this up, I'm headed back? Or is it more of like, hey, man, you made it.
I didn't feel that. No, I
go and execute.
I was excited about it. I was just like, let's do this thing. But, dude, I was carving in AAA. I mean, I set the record in Salt Lake for wins that year as a starter.
I guess that's, again, to that point. So then you go up and you go up to the next level.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, was there ever like a point where like you look around and you're like, all right, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right.
So that hadn't happened yet because it was so quick. It was kind of in and out.
Yeah.
I made that start, stayed the night, and I was flying back the next day back to AAA.
I got you.
Yeah.
So that wasn't
it was
permanent.
It was a spot start.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Me and Joe both. It was
How often do they do that? They do that
all the time.
All the time?
Yeah. They do it all the time. You go up there and keep doing your thing, and the other guy comes back and he's not, then you might get that call and you get to stick around for a little bit. And that's what happened to me in 2007.
Is there like a, and I want to get to that, but like when in that world though, I mean, it is a business. Like you've worked your tail off to get to this point in time. You're extreme. Everybody has to be, I would say, not everybody, but I would think that the most are extremely competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it one of those things? It's just like, hey man, like it is what it is. Yeah. You and I can be boys, but I'm still like, if I win the spot, like, and you have to go back, like it, we're still going to be boys. But is there any animosity in the locker room when it comes to competing with your fellow teammates?
There can be, but in the big leagues, not as much as there is in the minor leagues.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
the minor
asking.
leagues is where it's at. I always tell people when I used to sit up in the stands and we would have to chart 2 days before your start, and I would sit up there, and if I had the gun, and there's a gun on the board too, so if my gun said 90 and the board said 92, then I would put 92 for my guy.
Gotcha.
Whether I had a relationship with him or not, that's what I'd want him to do for me, right? Because the velo does matter, and I would do that. But there's other guys that would do this. Your gun may say 91, the gun on the board says 88, they'll go 88. Even though they should have went off the gun here, I would always hook people up. So we call it pencil whipping. They'd pencil whip you, and you always knew the guys. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, so going back.
So to say that is an example of the competitiveness that where like you can actually, like people like to skew numbers about things. Like that's one way of doing it. There's not really anything else that you can do. You can't keep me from getting on the gym bus. You can't keep me from doing my long toss. You can't keep me doing my stretching. Those are little things that you can do.
And I do want to get into
and make
that,
little
like
comments.
I do want to get that. I want to get into your pregame ritual and routine. But when you finally, you said it was a spot start.
Yep.
And then you made mention that, hey, the following year is when you went up more full time.
So I went back to AAA after that start. Pitched really, really well. Got called back up in September. They call it a September call up. Went up. And I really liked the Angels did this for us because it helped you get acclimated to the big leagues. The big leagues it may be different now, but back then, those whole stories of the veteran telling you to go get a coffee and getting it and tasting it and pouring it out and go get me another one, rookie, that was all real. You would have one or two guys that do that, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was actually not hard at all in that sense because I'd be like, something like that happens or someone says something, you just laugh it off. I got you, man. Go get it. No big deal. I just act like if I act like it's a big deal, and if I get butthurt about it, then they're gonna go. They know they're in there. Now I don't want to let them in there, so I'm just gonna do my thing, be my part, be a good teammate. They probably had to do it, and they were probably treated like crap. And now for whatever reason, they want to do it to some other kid, which I never did. I was like, I'll never be that guy.
Yeah.
I'll take them and put them under my wing and help them. And so get called up in September, get to pitch a little bit. I think my ERA for that year, very limited innings, maybe 14 innings, was like a 9 ERA. And I didn't pitch for 15 days and get thrown in a game in Texas and give up a couple. And so if you've got limited innings, you're giving up some runs, it's not hard to have a higher ERA. And so when I got home, that's what some of the people, Texarkana, that haven't done a whole lot with themselves, to say it that way, they would say, well, I saw you in the big leagues, you got a 9 ERA. And it's like, yeah, I got a career 3 ERA in the minor leagues, dude. That's my first year. Like, it's different. They're better. These guys are
There's a
really,
reason why
really
they're
good.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in 2007, I go to spring training, absolutely dominate spring training.
What'd you do in the fall? What'd you do in the off season?
I had that off season off. Yeah.
But I mean, from a training perspective, like when you,
yeah. So I would take like 8 weeks off from throwing. You've been throwing.
okay, you take that long off.
Yeah. If I could redo it now, I wouldn't have. I would have done a little bit different, but that was the protocol. That's what the organization wanted you to do.
I got you.
You've been throwing since January.
Yeah.
Go home, take 8 weeks off. But during that 8 weeks time, man, I had to move. Like I had to do something. So I would run. I'd gotten into yoga a little bit. I was doing some yoga, some strength training.
But they didn't have a protocol. Like they didn't say, "Hey, Dustin, once you leave and when you come back, this is what we need you focusing on." Like there wasn't like any type of training progression. So it really left up to the athlete to.
Yeah, and the minor leagues a little bit more. They'll give you some guidance, but in the big leagues, they kind of leave you alone, let you do your thing. And so I think some guys, they have routines built and everything else, but younger guys like myself, I probably could have used some guidance there. But I was also disciplined, and I didn't like to sit. And so I was always moving, and so I was always kind of getting better. There were points and times that I would get lazy, and, it might be 3 or 4 days I don't do anything, but it was never 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
Like some of my teammates would do, especially minor league teammates. So I went home, spent some time with the family, and then I was back in Arizona in late January, mid-January. I went down like a month early each year. And so camp would start, mid-February, and then you would do spring training until April, and the season would break. But I pitched my butt off that year, and Bartolo Colon got hurt again. So I went up and made spot starts, and I just dominated. And so I never went down. They kept me up there. They just moved me to the bullpen.
Gotcha.
Yep. When he came back, they moved me to the pen. And then I did all kinds of roles, man. I did long rolls. Justin Spire got sick, who was like the 7th, 8th inning guy. I did that. Frankie Rodriguez was a closer, so I never closed anything out. But I pretty much did anything that Mike Scioscia asked me to do, and had a really successful successful year.
Yeah. So when in that year, looking back, was there a point in time where like you felt maybe some hidden pressure, or you felt like, hey, you're doing everything. You're being a team guy, right?
Yep.
Like you're there. You worked your tail off to get to that point. Was there a specific game that you can potentially recall to where your back was against the wall and you were able to?
Not that year.
Not that year. What year would have that?
It's 08.
Is 08. So it's the following year.
Sophomore year. Yep.
Sophomore. So this is now truly your sophomore year.
Yep.
Freshman year, team guy, you're doing what's asked of you.
Yep.
Fast forward now to the sophomore year.
Yep.
Take us to that point in time.
So 07, towards the end of the season, I was having numbness in my ring finger and pinky finger.
Okay.
And so we had Dr. I think it was Dr.
On your throwing hand.
On my throwing arm, yeah. Dr. Yoakum, I think was his name, a doctor out there. And so anyways, he evaluated it. He was our team doc and looked at it. And so anyways, he said that I probably need to have my ulnar nerve relocated. And so I never had issues with that ever, but I never thrown the bullpen. So I'd have time to recover. I never had to get up multiple days and throw back to back as hard as I could, doing that in the bullpen. And that's what they thought the reason was of probably why this occurred. But both of my elbows, when I go past 90, if you put your hand right here, you can feel my ulnar nerve sublux and roll over that bone. So what was happening, it was just over and over of getting into that position of throwing was just creating irritation. Didn't stop me from commanding the ball because your pointer finger and middle finger do a lot for you with all your pitches, but it was just uncomfortable. I'd go for runs and my hand would feel like it's going numb. It was just really weird. And so that offseason I had ulnar nerve relocation surgery. Not a big surgery, was back by spring training. Probably in Dustin Moseley fashion, pushed it back faster than I should have because I didn't want to miss any time. And when I came back, man, it was the first time in my whole life where the ball didn't go where I wanted it to.
Ooh.
It was weird.
Yeah.
And so I finally kind of diagnosed what was happening is that, when you have that surgery, your arm is like this, they keep you in kind of this position for that ulnar nerve because you don't want it moving. And so we had it just like this. And so what happened was when you look at 2007 arm path to 2008 arm path, I'm a little bit outside of my normal L or inside that L. And now from a pitching biomechanics standpoint, we understand the best were always where I was in 07. I was outside of it. And so now it was just taking things off of where my normal release point would be because the movement pattern was a little bit different.
How challenging was that for you mentally?
I wanted to quit in 2008. I'll get into
I want to get into that.
So when that happened, I come back, I make the team, I'm pitching, I have a decent spring training, but I'd pitched so well in 07, I'm on the team, right? And so I was a little bit, hey, routine. I'm here, dog. Like this is all. I would say that there's a little bit of not laziness. I think there was an assessment of reassessing the goals and moving the bar higher. It's like, this is the bar. The big leagues is the bar. I should have sat down and went through it and go, okay, I want to pitch this many innings. I want to have this type of ERA. I want to, I want to be an all-star. Like, you have to move the bar.
Right.
And I didn't do a good job of that.
Something to chase.
People have always asked me this, like, what do you regret? Is there anything you regret? It's the only thing. I wished I would have reassessed those goals and moved that bar higher. Right. And that was the only difference.
Well, and during this time, and I keep going back to like coaching or mentors or, important people in your life, like did you operate in isolation a lot? Was it just you, or were you leaning on anybody else through this process?
No, for the most part, it was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
teammates.
Teammates. Yeah. But like from a pitcher's mentality.
Yeah.
Is a pitcher's mentality, because it is you on the mound, it's mano a mano out there. Is that standard mentality for a pitcher in a lot of ways?
Yeah. And the way I'm wired too is that I'm like, what Carly says, like, I'm a blend of extrovert and introvert. It's
right.
like I'm very extroverted for a time, and then I have to go like to isolation to like recover almost, right? Like, so that part of me with the teammates and all the other stuff, but before games, pre-games, everything else, man, I just wanted to do my thing. And I found my way there too, right? In the minor leagues, I was just kind of that much better than a lot of the guys that I was playing against. And so from a music standpoint, everything else, and when I got to the big leagues, like, everybody's freaking good. Like, you better be on your game all day. And I didn't throw 95, and I didn't have like some wipeout slide or anything else. So I had to focus on command, and I had to get ahead. I had to control counts. I had to control runners. I had to do all the small things to survive up there because the guys are so great. And so through that, I learned, like, all right, I need to listen to reggae music, Christian music. I need to chill out so I can think and focus. And so going back to what you're saying is like, yeah, a lot of it's isolated. A lot of the time is like, I want my headphones on. I want to work out by myself. I want to do my thing, because when you get on that lonely island out there, it's you. It's you out there. Now, the catcher, it's you and the catcher. But sometimes you have catchers who don't call a good game and aren't very good leaders, and so they ain't helping you out much. Sometimes hurting you, So, yeah, so 2008, I get sent to AAA, mostly just from more of a rehabilitative standpoint, and going down there, and I sucked, man. Like, I never sucked. Like, you guys can pull it up. I bet it's a 70 ERA in AAA. Now, rewind, 21, I got a 2.5. Now I've got big league service time, a full year of big success against the best hitters in the world, and now I can't get these guys out in AAA. And that's not snuffing the AAA. AAA hitters can swing it, right? They're
there for a reason.
Listen, most all of them are like, they just need one little thing, right? Or just the right organization, and they're big leaguers for 10 years. Like, they're that great. So if you ever talk to people and they're like, I played in AAA, you're like, how long? Was it like a call up or something? Or did you play for a couple years? Those guys are that far from being a major league player. And so I struggled. Carly, she giggles at this all the time, because in Salt Lake, where we live, there was like a pretty big homeless population. And we would walk through there, and, you'd talk to some guys and everything. And I told her one day, I was like, I just want to be one of those guys, man. I just want to hang out with them. I want no responsibility. But it was all external. Looking back on it, like, it was all internal. It was nothing. You think your teammates don't like you. You think your coaches don't like you. Mike Butcher isn't reaching out to me. Mike Sosha, haven't heard from him not one time. Like, I'm not hearing from any of my teammates in the big leagues. You're not hearing all those things. And so you just start to feel like, well, what's it matter? Why do all this? Like, but again, it was because I needed external validation that still stemmed from my dad, right? That was all stemming from those pieces. And so you go through that year. I get called back up in 2008 and have some success. I win a game that puts us into the postseason against New York, right? Through 5 innings, 2 runs, had a great game. That next year in 2009, made the big league team out of spring training, was doing good, and then I hurt my hip and ended up having to have hip surgery. And so during that time, that was a struggle. Man, I had a labral cleanup. Just did not do well with the rehab of that. Was doing everything I was supposed to do. I mean, we were living in Texarkana. I moved to Little Rock, Benton, live with my mom so I could go work with Derek Logman and Chris Long over at PTI. It was a different place there, but they own PTI. And so I did everything I was supposed to do, and I just couldn't get healthy. And then finally I got healthy, and it was December, January. I called my agent, Derek Broniker with Frontline Sports Management. I said, dude, and he's calling me, are you healthy? Are you healthy? I got guys calling, bro, because the Angels non-tendered me. So that hurt my feelings too, right?
What does non-tender mean?
Non-tender, basically, they release you.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Pretty much, it's like makes you a free agent, basically. And so I was non-tendered by the Angels, hurt my feelings. I'm hurt, not getting healthy. So I'm talking about going to school. I have $100,000 with my original agreement with Cincinnati to go to school. I'm going to go to school. And I was working, I was doing everything I was supposed to do. And I went to Arkansas High football field where I went to high school, and I'm out there running. And it was just, man, every time I try to run, it just catching. It's like, felt terrible. And I was like, what is going on? Nobody, the therapist is like, dude, you look strong. You look good. We don't know what's going on. So then you're thinking about going back, seeing Dr. Bird in Nashville to see if there's something going on. And I got out there and I just got mad. And I was like, I'm just going to sprint. I don't care. And I do. And I feel a pop. And I stop running. And then I'm like, I don't have any pain. And so I just start moving around and I jog, no pain. And I keep going. I think I probably ran 10 sprints. I remember my abs and calves being so sore.
Yeah.
You know? But anyways, I don't know if I broke loose some scar tissue or what happened, or I don't know if it was just like God was just like, bro, you're healed.
Yeah.
Like, I needed you to go through that. I don't know. Kind of get emotional thinking about that.
Yeah.
But
that's what we're talking about.
That's the part. The breakthrough from there, I would say from 05 to 09, I had fun, but I didn't have as much fun in the freedom that I should have been playing with, that I played with for my whole life. But when that happened and you're already contemplating being done, that your career is over, when I got a call from Derek and says, hey, New York wants to bring you in on a split deal, got this thing done, you're going to go to big league camp. I said, Derek, I haven't thrown a whole lot. He's like, get to throwing, man. Like, get it rolling, baby. So I go to New York, and, man, I go to spring training. As soon as we get there, it was like a list of 10 things that makes a New York Yankee. And I'm like, send a picture and call my mom. I'm like, all these things, Mom. Like,
so when you got there, though, like the Yankees have like a standard.
They have a standard. You got there in spring training, and I probably got it somewhere, but it was just like all the things necessary to be a pro, really. That's all it is. To be a true professional, here are the guidelines. And if you want to be a New York Yankee, you better follow these guidelines, brother. And so I'm looking, I'm like, well, this is easy. I do all these things. And so anyways, went to spring training, having a lot of fun, more fun than I've ever had probably in quite a few years. And then I was throwing a bullpen, and there's this bigger gentleman. And then I didn't know, because in spring training with a lot of the other organizations, it would just be a lot of, minor league guy coaches, just kind of anybody that's kind of helping. Not just anybody. These guys all have careers in the game, excuse me. But I didn't realize in New York, it was like, if you got a Yankees uniform on as a coach out there, like, you're a dude, right? I mean, we got Goose Gossage coming in to talk to us. You got just dudes coming through all the time. I mean, they had Rangers come talk to us. I mean, they had all this stuff about leadership and all these things. And so anyways, I'm sitting there throwing this bullpen. I finish up, bigger guy, his back teeth, didn't really have any back teeth, just kind of all front teeth, huge chaw in all the time, kind of dripping down, And anyways, he pulls me aside and he goes, hey, what do you got that goes that way? It's talking about going from kind of arm side to glove side. I was like, my curveball. He's like, your curveball is like 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock, man, 6 or 7 o'clock. It's more down. He says, you need something that goes that way, son. And I go, okay. He says, I've seen you pitch. He says, your bullpens are probably the best out here. He says, but you don't have anything that goes the other way. And from what I understand, you've been more of a swing guy, back in the bullpen, or a long reliever, spot starter in the big leagues. I said, yeah. He says, why do you think that is? I said, well, I don't know. He says, because usually you can't get through the 4th, 5th, or 6th inning because they're coming around their third time on you. And I go, okay. He goes, you need something that goes that way. You throw a slider? No, I throw a sinker, a changeup, and a curveball. He said, we're going to start working on a cutter. So everybody thinks I learned the cutter from Mariano because he had such a good cutter in New York, but it was Billy Connors is the one that taught it to me.
No lie.
Yep. And so anyways, I went out and started playing with it. And he was showing me different ways of doing it. And when we were talking about it, he says, have you ever tried to? I said, yeah, I tried to. And I tried with Bill Maloney in Chattanooga because he suggests the same thing. He said, man, you sink it so hard. If we could get something going the other way, it would be fantastic. And I could never figure it out. It would actually take away from my curveball, but it was because I was trying to throw it off of my middle finger. And Billy was like, how are you throwing this? And I said, well, I'm throwing it like this. He's like, no, man, it comes off your index finger. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And so he adjusted my grip and things. And he's like, go play with where you want the ball in your hand, but here's how you're going to have to set it because you pronate so hard. And so when I learned that, I think I figured out in 2 weeks in spring training, started doing well. I got sent down to minor league camp, was carving, went to Scranton, Pennsylvania, carved there. And then by July, I had out my contract. So New York had to either call me up or made me a free agent. And during that time, we had a couple Korea offers. Some Japan teams were interested. And so, I mean, I think the Korea deal was going to be $800,000 or $900,000 for half a season. I mean, there's big money over there if you're good. And so, anyways, they called me up, and the rest is history, man. I went in, made spot starts. I was a long reliever for them because they had great starters at the time. And then, fast forward, I pitch well. I make the postseason roster. I win. Was it game 2 of ALCS on Carly's birthday, 10-15. It's crazy. Like I thought I was done, but I was playing with house money. That's why I tell people I was playing with house money. I thought I was done. Great career. It was fun while it lasted. And now I'm playing with extreme freedom, and I got so much better. And then New York non-tendered me that year. Wasn't anything. They just had a bunch of guys. It just didn't really fit. I wasn't going to be able to break into the rotation. And so Derek got a deal done for me in the winter meetings with San Diego. It was the perfect opportunity to be a starter.
Well, before you get to the Padres,
yep.
Like going back though, like back to the football field where you're doing sprints.
Yeah.
And you got emotional. Why'd you get emotional?
And I just did it again.
Which is great. But is it because you're just setback after setback after setback?
Yeah. It was just like, you just can't, you couldn't catch your breath, It was like, stuff happens with dad. Good year. Something else happens. Elbow surgery. Making your way back, you process through that, you go through that, hip surgery. And so you start to just go, as we were talking, before about some of the guys that, you train with and that they just push themselves too far. And I tell kids that all the time.
I've been that guy.
Yeah, I tell kids all the time.
I've been that guy.
I said, 3 of the 4 of my injuries were due to being raised that rub some dirt on it. And if it hurts or it's sore, it's because you're weak. It's not because you need rest.
Right.
It's because you need to do more. And so it was just, for me, it was just overuse injuries. But I think I get emotional because when you go through that process of kind of I would probably call it, there's probably 2 deaths to an athlete, right? Yeah. When the career ends and then when you actually die, that part of it, of just processing and talking to people and getting information and, what do you think I should go to school for? And you're asking people that you really respect and you're moving through it and you're kind of starting to process that the career is coming to an end. And then I think I got emotional is because you think it's done, right? You go out there, you've been trying to run, and you go back to run at the high school where you went to, and that's the breakthrough, right? You're out there by yourself.
It's incredible.
Again, isolation. But that's how I like to train. Still to this day, I would prefer to train by myself than with anyone else, just because I can just get after it. I can think. I can listen to whatever kind of music I want to. I can yell and scream and grunt and do whatever I want to do. I enjoy working with the right groups of guys at points, but if I had my choice, I would do that twice a week, and I would train by myself 4 days a week.
Well, I was telling Alex before we actually got started. I wasn't telling him. I asked him a question. I said, hey, what makes you happy? What zaps your energy? Like, what's your dream job? We were just talking. And then he asked me the same question, which is what we typically do before we hit record. We always ask each other I like big, thought-provoking questions. That's just me. And I was telling him, Alex, I actually answered this on my run yesterday up Fort Roots because I like to work. I like to train, on my own, but then I like to train with a group, but the group has to have very high standards.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a big deal with me. Right. And, but when I'm on my own, and I say this to everybody, and I knew this is exactly why you got emotional, as you should, man. in order for you to achieve something you never achieved before, you have to become somebody you've never been before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as if that's going to happen really overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So your story, it's truly a story of resilience, a story of fortitude, and a story of quiet heroic moments. Is you go from being drafted 34th overall, right? Then you make it to the big leagues. You do have setbacks, as all of us do in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
Your father, he's your father.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I lost my mother November 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents do mean something to us in so many ways, even if that relationship might not be the relationship we wanted all the time. And you're battling, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get an injury, then the hip, by the grace of God, through sprints, starts working. So those tears are tears of joy and gratitude, but also it's like I tell Landon or I tell even Madison all the time, it's like, hey, you're not crying. It's okay to definitely cry. Like, it's a phenomenal emotion, but when it comes from like a place of joy, because you've overcome so much, let it flow. Yeah. Let it flow. And it, in particular for an athlete of your caliber, because your identity has been that since you're this tall. And it still is. Like when you look in the mirror, you see Dustin Moseley, the athlete, the father, the husband, the business owner. All these things, but that's what people don't see. So a question I have for you, and I ask people this all the time, like people that I love and I adore in more ways than one, when you're on that football field and that happens, like, was that a quiet heroic moment in your life that changed the trajectory for your future?
Sure.
Which led to the Yankees, which led to the cutter.
Which led to the video you just put on the TV.
100%.
Right?
Right.
Like, yeah. People say, you play for the Yankees? Like, they don't care about any of the other pieces, and that's how New York was. The standard, the level. I learned so much from being there, just going in underneath, going into the clubhouse and how clean everything was and how organized. Everything had its place. And they said that's how Steinbrenner, the older man, the one that started all, that's how he wanted everything.
Well, that's how you run pro.
That's
like
how I run
yesterday
pro.
when I was in Performance and you had some of your collegiate athletes, they're in there working out. They're getting after it. And Landon and I went in there to hit because I needed to get him moving. And we go through our dynamic warm-up together because I do the warm-up with him. And then I take him in the cage where him and Coach Pat have been working together for the last several years. But when you look at it, and this is what I highly respect, is that every L screen was lined up perfectly. The baseballs and the buckets were all perfect. Like there was a pattern all the way down. And I looked at Landon. I said, Landon, look. And I said, what do you see? And it took him a little minute. And of course, he threw out a few things that was not what I was looking for.
Right.
And he goes, oh, Dad, everything's in order. I said, that's the standard. I said, don't meet it.
That's right.
Be the standard.
That's right.
But, the Yankees release you, right? Or non-tender you, sorry.
Basically, if I wanted to pursue it, I could have signed a minor league deal with them.
I got
most
you.
likely.
Okay.
They didn't have a spot for me as a starter, and my agent made it clear that
that's where you went to the Padres.
I wanted to be a starter.
Yeah, you wanted to be a starter. You go to the Padres. What was that experience like?
Awesome. Love San Diego.
Yeah, great ballpark.
Like I remember getting off the plane and I'm like, I don't know if I do or don't believe in reincarnation, but if it's real, then I used to live in San Diego because that's how I felt. I felt
was
like
Petco Park.
Yeah.
Was it still the Petco Park of today?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite baseball
They've made
parks.
some changes to it, but it was super nice. But no, had a blast. Got called in the office. Buddy Black was my pitching coach with the Angels when I made my debut. He was the manager then. Loved him. Like, he's one of my favorite managers that I ever had. And he calls me in and he just says, "Hey, Mose, what's D Money? Hey, man, what's going on?" And they called him the Iceman because he was super cool, man. He's just chill, just everything. And he says, "All right, well, let's talk about this year." He's like, "I'm not going to tell you you're going to be a starter, man. You got to earn it, And I was like, no problem. I did that every spring training.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, just seeing where we're at. How's D Money doing? How's Carly doing? He's just remembered her name. He's just a cool dude. And anyways, I pitched my butt off again. Every spring training, I had to earn it, and I pitched my butt off. And I pitched better. Bigger games, I pitched better. Anytime that the back was against the wall, I pitched better. So far in business, when it's happened, I come out, I get creative, I get ideas. We were able to pay for what we need to pay for, find ways to create additional revenue. It's like I do really well kind of under that pressure. But I go back to, it's kind of how I grew up. Like everything was kind of pressurized. I know that I'm going to be treated a certain way if it doesn't get done, if the yard's not mowed perfectly, if the water hose isn't rolled up just right. I mean, I tell people all the time, and I'm grateful for this. Like, this isn't a knock on my dad. Like, I would much rather have that than a bunch of kids I grew up with. That I appreciate that the standard's so
We're
high.
in a comfort crisis right now.
But man, I'll tell you, I'll never forget. I was maturing into this place that probably all men can relate to, where your parents don't have to tell you to do it anymore.
Mhm.
You just start to do it. And so I remember I was like, the yard looked like it needed to be cut. So I did it, cut it, swept everything up. We didn't have blower or anything. We had the old school edger, right? Like,
Yeah, I know
rock
exactly what
that
you're talking
bad
about.
boy.
Yeah.
Make sure you got some gloves on. And so, man, I edged it up. I did everything, pulled over. I wrenched the lawnmower off. Went and put it up, made sure I filled it back up with gas. I made sure I checked the oil before I even started. I did everything that I've been taught to do, right? Everything. My dad comes home. We got a screen door on the porch. You could hear anybody that was coming in. And anyways, he comes home and hear him, mom talking. And he goes, Dustin. I go in there. He goes, so what's up? He's like, perfect. Can't wait, right? He's going to say, thank you for mowing the yard. Looks great. He goes, you mow the yard? I said, I sure did. He goes, you left the water hose out. Cool. That was it. He acknowledged it though. Like, that was cool that he even recognized that I mow the yard. But that was kind of how a lot of it was. And so Dad did a good job of, he would write his how much he was proud of me, but saying it out loud sometimes. Now, he said he loved me, things like that. He had no problem doing that. But a lot of that was really tough for him. And it's really interesting when you dive into it. Again, another podcast, we could talk about just the psyche of even your parents and family who kind of become envious or jealous of you because you're having success. And they helped you. They're your child. They're your brother, whoever, sister, whatever it may be. And they develop envy for you, or your best friends. I mean, it can happen with anybody. And I think it usually happens for people who are actually have big hearts and do a whole lot for people. It almost seems more that way than it is the guys who are just like, just kind of more dicks. You know what I mean? It's just almost like they can try to manipulate some way, make you feel bad for something you didn't do.
Yeah, no, I totally understand and totally agree. When you're at the Padres, I mean, was that your last stop?
Yeah, so 2011 had a great season. Great season. I end up, I had dislocated sublugs, but basically just think of it as a dislocation. The difference is that no one had to force it back in, but it happened in 2004 in Louisville. And here's the thing that people don't really know about me is that I probably would have been a 5th to 10th round draft pick as a third baseman because I could swing it. So my senior year, I think I hit 493 with 13 home runs.
Yeah, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. But my pitching outweighed it. I think I had a .76 ERA with 100 innings thrown in high school and 186 punch outs. Like, it was, okay, he's going to pitch. But no, I swung it. I think I had 76 at bats in the minor leagues. I had a career 302 average. Yeah, I had a grand slam, another home run. Like, I could swing it. It goes back to the power bat, power arm that I always teach the kids to do. But in 2004, I hit a ball that one hopped the left center field wall there in Louisville. And when I did, it was on a fastball that was inside, and my shoulder went out the back.
Oh, wow.
And so I run down first base, and everyone says, like, what did you hurt? Because my whole left side was like limping. Like, is it your shoulder, your knee, your hip, like your ankle? And so anyways, I had to have a little time off and rehab that back. But anytime you sublux or dislocate, you tear the labrum a little bit. And so I had that. I struggled with hitting, so I just spread out, got bunched down, kind of slap, what we call slash. I just slash, and to try to not force that shoulder to create too much stress. And then when that happened, that next year I got traded to the Angels. So the Angels was the American League from 06 all the way to 2010 with
I got
New York.
you. That's what I was going to ask.
So when I got back to San Diego early in spring training, we're taking batting practice, and I feel something I hadn't felt in 6 years. It moved a little bit. Well, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just going to deal with it. I'm going to spread out. And people are like, why are you hitting like that? I just feel more comfortable. But it was for my shoulder. And so I'm dealing. Spring training, I go to the season. I think I led the National League in ERA for the first month and a half of the season. I mean, I'm carving. Now, I was like 1-6 with like a 1.5 ERA. Like I had the lowest run support of all Major League Baseball. And so I did all that. And then I was facing Aaron Cook at home, and he threw big sinkers, nasty sinkers. And it got in on me, and my shoulder moved, and I went down until they come out. And you can see in the video when our trainer comes and puts his hand on my jersey, you see my shoulder pop back into place. And so then I just dealt with that. I kept pitching, shortened it up. I was wearing this big shoulder contraption that kept me from it moving, and then just really worked on just making sure I got bunts down. I mean, sometimes I would bunt when I didn't need to just because I was pitching so well, and Buddy Black was completely cool with it. And then I was facing Joe Saunders. He was with the Diamondbacks, so my old teammate, facing Joe. And I hit should have been a double down the line, right field line, but it was a ball that got in on me. And I was a little late, but I barreled it over the first baseman's head. And anyways, it happened again. And so I ran to first. I got a single out of the deal. And so after that game, pitched really well again. After that game, Buddy Black calls me in, and it's like the training staff, the doctor, everybody. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, we need to talk to you. We really are concerned. Your shoulder is so loose that we're afraid that you're not going to be able to get your glove up in time if they hit a ball back at you. I'm fine, dude. What are you talking about? Like, I'm literally going to make the most money from this season that I've ever made. And I can't stop now, right? And so anyways, they talked to me. I talked to my agent and everything else. And it's just like, hey, man, if we go ahead and do it now, it was late July, early August. If we do it now, you'll be ready to rock by spring training. If we wait and you got to have this done, you may miss a season. I'm like, well, that's a good point. So I went home, thought about it, prayed about it. And, was a little bit concerned too, was like, now they're going to re-sign me, right? Like this isn't, you just never know with business. This isn't like a play because I'm starting to make more and more money. And that could have been too. It was like, hey, let's have this done because this dude has 180 innings instead of 120 innings with numbers he's putting together. That's a $5 million deal rather than a $2 million deal. Now that could have been a thought process too, but there's lots of pieces to it. But I trust Buddy was shooting me straight on that. And so anyways, I have that surgery, go through the off season, and then go to spring training, 2012, pitch and fine. My velo's down just a little bit. And my right shoulder just didn't feel great. Well, this is the biggest deal I've ever signed. If I have the Players Association and my agent basically said, if I can have 2011 numbers with another 50, 60 innings or more, if I can get to 200, be perfect. If I can have that same caliber of season in 2012, it's probably going to be a 3-year, $18 million deal, right? So Dustin's set for life, the way we don't spend a whole lot of money. And so I go through that spring training. I don't say anything, but there are plenty of spring trainings you go and you just don't feel great, and it goes away. You know, they call it dead arm. You got a little tendonitis. You take some anti-inflammatories and you're back rocking and rolling. And it just progressively got worse. And I remember looking at the gun, watching some spring training film, and I'm like, this isn't good. It's like 84, 85. I'm usually an 88 to 92 guy. And I just kept pushing through it. And in my first start against the Dodgers in the third or fourth inning, I made a throw, and I felt something that felt kind of like my left shoulder did. And I go, that's not good. I was facing Matt Kemp, right? Big, one of the best hitters for the Dodgers at the time. I look back, it said 81 changeup. It was a fastball. Dang it. Anyways, I throw him 2 curveballs, end up striking him out. I come over, and Rick Stoffer's like, what's going on? And I tell him, and he's like, all right. Had an MRI done. Heinz Henneke, who just performed the surgery on my left shoulder the year before, we get the MRI. We go into his office. He apologizes for 5 minutes and then tells me what I had. I had a labral tear, capsule tear, and a cuff tear, which is what Mark Pryor had, Johan Santana had, Chi Ming Wang had. I think Dallas Braden had it. None of them came back from it. right? And so it's like, all right, cool. I'll be the first one. No problem. I've already come back from 3 of them. They didn't work as hard as I did. I'll come back.
What number? What injury?
That's number 4.
Number 4. So this is 4th injury.
Yeah. Yep. Number 4. So anywho, rehab in San Diego, making a ton of progress, doing really good. As soon as I start all my throwing progressions, it's basically at the end of the season when I started, go home, continue to do it. And I just had setback after setback after setback. I started doing a football throwing program from Drew Brees that did at TMI and started to use that. That started to kind of help formulate the arm pass stuff and strategy that I use nowadays. And so I did that, got back throwing the baseball, got off the mound, hurt again. And it just kept going over and over again. And so during that time, I'm like, okay, well, this isn't good. Probably time to go back to that idea back in 2005 at physiotherapy in Tempe, Arizona, and maybe open up this facility or start the business plan of this facility. And so that's where Proformance all came from. It was that downtime. I don't like downtime, right? And to a fault sometimes where I probably need some. I just want to move and I just want to shake. And so I started doing that, started connecting with some people, Jay Sawatsky, Will Lewis, different people that I knew that I would love to come be a part of this and come on as instructors and trainers for me. And I wanted to make a high-level facility that's going to train the best pitchers and hitters all across the country. Well, real quickly, you realize there's not a whole lot of professional athletes in Arkansas, or if they are, they don't stay in Arkansas. Nobody wants to come to Little Rock to come train with Dustin Moseley that was a player but doesn't have a whole lot of experience of training. So the model starts to shift and change, and then we kind of develop the membership strategy. We have the personal lessons, add instructors, develop the philosophies, yada, yada, yada. And so I start rehabbing myself through Proformance. And one of my first clients was Grant Black. So Grant, so Grant, who ended up playing with the Cardinals up to AAA, we're rehabbing together. He's coming back from UCL surgery, and I've got all these wild ideas and all this stuff. And I've been doing the research, and I'm looking at all the top guys that played for forever, stayed healthy. Roger Clemens, Nolan Ryan, Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine. You go through all these names and how do they move? What do they do? Let's start to, maybe it's not necessarily
what are the patterns?
What are the patterns? Maybe not necessarily the protocol of throwing or the training, because everything's all training based now, right? Kids spend 90% of their time in the weight room and they still throw 82 miles an hour. It's like, maybe we should throw more and hit more and rotate more rather than trying to lift heavy weights. So that was the whole kind of just changing. But again, it's where I started to pull back and go, how did Dustin Moseley get hurt? I didn't throw extremely hard in comparison to the guys in the big leagues. I commanded the ball, had a beautiful delivery, I took care of myself. I didn't run the streets. I did all the things I was supposed to do. How did I get hurt? Well, now you start going into, well, maybe it was just the way you were moving. And I think some of it had to do after that ulnar nerve surgery in 2007 or into 2007. So he and I start rehabbing together. I get healthy enough. I'm up to 89 miles an hour, which shouldn't be doable for the surgery that I had. I went through from some teams. I signed with the Florida Marlins, and I pitched for about 3 months, had a ton of success. And I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I spent most of my minor league career of the time of my minor leagues. And I make a pitch in the second inning, and I feel that same feeling I felt against Matt Kemp against the Dodgers. And I look back at the board, said 82 changeup, and I was like, no way. Throw this kid 2 curveballs, get him to pop up, almost the same sequence. And I just knew that this is it. I've done so much, and getting, the setback after setback, it takes a toll on you, man, right? But I at least had something I could build and put my energy into and not sit around and feel sorry for myself. And I was doing that, and I was building into Grant, helping him recover. So it wasn't just about me then. And so I knew that it was probably it by what I felt. And probably it because I just didn't want to go through the process of rehabbing anymore. I was just tired. You just get overwhelmed by it. And so anyways, I go home. We get an MRI the next day. The doctor reads it later that day. They're in Jacksonville Suns is who I was playing for. And he tells me, man, you just got some inflammation, the cuff, take some anti-inflammatory pills. And I said, okay, I appreciate that info. I'm going to send this MRI to Dr. Heinz Henneke, who performed both of my surgeries. I really trust him. So I sent it to him. He called me and he goes, are you playing? And I go, I am. He goes, how hard are you throwing? It's like, I've been up to 89, 90. He's like, that's crazy. Good for you, man. And he said, all right, I got your MRI. He's like, I'll go through it sometime. I've been busy, I'll get back to you. So I think he called me the next day and he goes, all right, man, here's what I need to know. What are you doing? How's Carly? What's going on in your life? What's the deal? I mean, 2012 is the last time. It's 14. Let's talk through this. Kind of got to get to know my story a little bit more. And he goes, okay, well, let's talk about this. He's like, what do you want from me? Doc, what do you think I should do? What you got on the other end, what you're seeing, can I keep playing? What do you suggest? He said, based off everything you've told me, this new business, Carly's pregnant with Avery, all this kind of stuff, I would suggest to you, unless you want to have another surgery, that you go ahead and call it a career. What a great career you've had. Do your thing. Okay. So you take that. All right. You knew it. You knew it on the pitch. You knew it. You're in Chattanooga, like the city that you were in, where you had some of the greatest memories.
Full circle.
Full circle. Man, okay. So anyways, Doc, love you, appreciate you. Great advice. Thank you. Right? Now you got, do I listen to this doctor or listen to this doctor? What do I do? There's a reason you even reached out to Dr. Henneke. You could have just listened to this guy. And so anyways, I'm sitting there, I'm praying, and I'm ironing a shirt. I'm in the hotel. We're about to get on the road. I'm ironing the shirt. And I got sent home to go deal with this, the MRI and stuff. But I was just getting my stuff ready because I was going to go ahead and go with the team, and I'm ironing my stuff. And I'm praying. I'm like, God, help me. Like, I need something so blatant because I'm going to talk myself right back into rehabbing and training and doing this thing again. I've done it so many times. I'm going to do it, but I feel tired. Like I'm tired with all this. So I'm praying. I'm ironing a shirt, and I grab my phone, got my little speaker, right? Put Spotify on, whatever I was listening to, and I put it on. And anyways, immediately as I'm praying, a song by Revolution comes on. It's crazy. You have to play it for the audience to hear it. And I'm just listening to that song, and it goes basically, you're going to make, it's basically time to make up a new story, right? It's like time to make it up, right? And we'd have to play it, and if you play it, I see you right along to every word right now, but as I'm thinking about the words, but it is an incredible song, the perfect time. To this day, when I listen to it, I tear up on it because it was like perfect. The word, I mean, it's like written for me. It's crazy. Shout out to Revolution for that one too. But that's when I knew. And then that was the confirmation. And after that, and after you listen to the song, you understand it was just like peace, man. It was like, all right, done. No more performing. No more of all this. Like it did it. It felt like you just threw me on the beach and said, buddy, you got nothing to do. And I'm going to give you a pocket full of money and just hang out for a week. I don't want you to do anything. That's how I felt. Just completely I was exhausted through the process. But at the same time, I had this idea and I had some dreams. I'm like, I'm going to be the first guy to ever come back from this injury, right? So you moved that bar way up here that kept you going, and then you're cruising. And Cole, the crazy part about it is the game I was throwing in Chattanooga, the minor league pitching coordinator was there to watch me pitch because there was a spot open in AAA, and I was pitching great, best one of it, and I've got big league time, all this other stuff. So I was if I pitched well there, I don't think if I would have pitched well, if I just would have done okay and he liked what he saw, I'm going to go to AAA, and they had nothing at the big league level, really. Like, I could compete with those guys, even at 90% Dustin Moseley. It was just one of those years. They had a lot of injuries, a lot of things happened. Same thing happened to us in 2012 with San Diego. Many surgeries. We had 3 starters go down. And so you had all this like, man, I'm going to get back. I'm going to do it. 2.5 years of work, and then it doesn't happen. So I think that part of thinking about that for just those couple of days of getting the MRI reports back was just overwhelming of like, if I have to rehab this again, and what do I do? And I put so much effort into it, and then ironing that shirt, listen to that song, complete confirmation that it was time to move on. And then I come back home, and I tell people all the time, unfair, as a human, it's like, this is unfair. I play with guys that never took care of their body, did a lot of things that they shouldn't have been doing, a lot of things that were disrespectful to the relationships that they had. I saw all kinds of things happen. I didn't do that. Why did they make $75 million? And I got cut short right when I was reaching my prime, right? And then as you look at it, and that's the selfish perspective of, I say, of looking at it rather than being grateful for the experiences and all the success you did have. I could have never got to the big leagues. That shoulder injury could have happened in '04, right? Or '05 when I got hurt. It could have happened then. I said it didn't happen. So you have to just change your perspective, right? And I was thinking this morning, of different questions you may ask or anything else, right? And I remember one time you said, "Are you happy?" Right? And so I was like, if he asked that question, I've got a perfect answer now. And the answer is only when I'm grateful. Like if I wake up in the morning and my day starts with, thank you for everything that I have and everything that you've done for me, the day's great. There's nothing that's going to deviate me from my path of the day or get me riled up or get me upset because I'm grateful. The days that I wake up and I have a mindset of selfishness and self-concern and self-consumption, then yeah, I can get upset real quickly and get caught up in things that have nothing to do with anything that I can control, right? And that's what they're doing to a lot of us out here in this country, is doing those. But the fact of the matter is because nobody's grateful. And we don't even understand how far we've come. Had a great conversation with a kid yesterday. He sent me a text. I'll send it to you, let you read it. It's incredible. Couldn't think of enough. I was like, perfect time as I'm coming onto this show for this. These are the experiences that I know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. But the conversation was being had is that he's chasing a guy who he's not, and he's losing sight of his superpowers that he already has. So he was very, very competitive.
Makes the hair on my arm stand up.
He was very competitive, and he's a kid that has earned everything. The talents that were given, he's multiplied, right? And he uses that reference about his grandmother and for him, but he's trying to be a guy that he's not. You just have to be your guy. And I said, let me tell you something, Caleb. Here's the thing. There's 3 things that every great coach should be looking for, okay? 1, competitiveness. Can he compete? Does he want the ball in big situations or does he run from it? That's what I'm looking for. I said, Caleb, if I were recruiting in college, okay, and I'm a D2, D3 NAIA school, I'm not getting the blue chip, the top picks, the Dustin Moseley out of high school. I'm going around and I'm looking for kids that have been making starts, preferably since their sophomore or junior year, and they've taken the ball every time. And they may not throw hard, but they have 3 pitches they throw for strikes, and the dudes want the ball, and they got balls of steel out there on that mound. They back up bases. They're good teammates. They're never rattled. They're leaders on the field. Give me those guys. I can help them throw harder. That's easy. I can help you throw harder. That's not rocket science. Everybody makes it rocket science. It's not, okay? But commanding the baseball is a skill. Nowadays with baseball, it's a circus act. People sitting around, ooh, how hard does he throw? How hard does he throw? It's a ball. Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, doesn't matter. I laugh at these videos, but everyone's caught up in velocity. And what they fail to realize that every one of those Power 4 schools have 1 or 2 guys on that staff, and a lot of times in the pen, that don't top over 92, but they command the zone. And when everything's out there and all of it's on the line, guess who the coaches go to? The kids that throw strikes. And so I'm telling Caleb this. I said, competitiveness is number 1. Number 2 is command. Can I command multiple pitches? And number 3 is stuff. The thing you're working on and all you guys are working on is the stuff. You spend all your time on the stuff and you don't even work on the top 2 things that you need. I said, right now, we have live at-bats every Friday. Every Friday during the break, these kids are home, okay? I have 8 hitter positions and 8 pitchers to sign up. This year, I have 8 pitchers and people just pouring, hey, man, can I get in? Man, I'm sorry. Like, we can't take you more than 8, okay? But these are kids I've had all of them since they were 12, 13 years old. That's all we talk about is competitiveness, wanting the ball. How do you get better? Go face the best competition. We'll see what you're made of. That's how you get better. Hitters? No hitters are signing up. Why are they not signing up? Well, kids have other things they're doing, whatever. But I'm going to tell you, Cole, here's the deal. People love the idea of training and no one likes the idea of competition. They run from competition because the competition will be on social media and, oh, you gave a hit or you got punched out by so-and-so. Yeah, this is the game. This is a game built off failure. But I would rather, if Cole Rodgers is the best hitter in the state of Arkansas, I'm texting Cole and going, hey, man, I'm about to throw live. I'd love for you to come out. Like, let's see what you're made of. I saw what you said that day we played at that game. Come get some, right? And that creates healthy competition.
I would agree. It's a fountain of youth.
Yeah.
That's why so many men, I firmly believe, when they lose that competitive spirit, or maybe, I don't know, a lot of men might not have ever had it.
Yep.
But when you fail to compete, you lose a lot of purpose.
You do.
And I'm not saying compete in the unhealthy sense.
No.
Not at all. But what I am saying, and I agree with you, is like, hey, man, like proximity is power. Like you bring your best, I bring my best.
And let's do this.
At the end of the day,
Yep.
that brings out a net positive in both of us. And if you get me, no big deal, man. I got better.
Yep.
You got better along the way as
That's
well.
right.
And not enough men, in my opinion, young men or dads or business owners, whatever, find other men to healthily compete with.
That's right.
That's just me speaking out loud, but
Let me tell you something too.
I want to hear it, because this makes me want to run through a wall.
There's a tough place for people who are more spiritually inclined and believe in a higher power.
I would agree with you.
And this is what I mean by this, is that I would probably say there's probably not competition in heaven. Okay. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. Is that when you step across the lines, you literally have to kind of turn into somebody that you're not. And if you're a big believer, you're a Christian, that is tough, because you're taught a certain style of Christianity these days that I call, where it's always looking out for the other people. It's always da-da-da-da and all this kind of stuff. And so when the competition comes into place, there are going to be times where my idea is to step on you, to step on your throat. I hope to bury you. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I hope you feel disrespected, right? When I went to the Angels, some of the younger guys didn't talk to me for like a week or two. I tell this story all the time. And Mike Napoli, who's a friend of mine, is a super dude, super funny too, Italian guy. We're sitting in the hot tub and I'm in the cold tub. We're doing contrast. And he goes, "Hey, Mose." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "No, you all right, man." "What does that mean, Nap? What do you mean?" "We hated you in the fall league, dude." I said, "Really?" He said, "You walked around out there like you were the dude." And he was like, "And you was doing your thing. You was one of the top pitchers in the fall league." He's like, "We couldn't stand you." He's like, "But dude, you're like the nicest guy ever." And so that's tough, right? That's a tough part for some people to understand.
Well, people don't want to be disliked. That's the thing.
Correct.
You got to be okay with being disliked.
That's right. But the competition part, that's the part about it nowadays, with kind of the things that are pushed and the spiritual component can be conflicting. So I got to step over here and I tell Coop, it's okay that you lost your cool and said some words that you wish you didn't say. It's because you want to win, right? And people say, well, he's got to be able to control his emotions better than that. How, when this is all you want to do? There are going to be times that young men are going to lose their cool, right? I mean, you'll see stuff that on TV and they'll show a fight break out and they're, "Oh yeah, look at all these kids. They're all a bunch of punks or thugs." No, they're not. They're competitors. And you're going to have...
They're in the arena.
They're in the arena, dude. And they're going to say, and I told a guy the other day, I said, it's the only place right now I could go play in the men's league and you can slide in, to second base. And I don't like how you slid in and you stand up and I punch you in the face, you punch me in the face and we go at it and there's no cops coming. That's in men's league baseball, right? Like it's not, no cops are coming. All of us will pull it apart. And most likely at the end of the day, y'all shake hands and, "Hey man, we'll play y'all again next." Or maybe you hate them for life, whatever it may be. But in sports, you can legally go out there, pull your helmet off, try to hit someone in the head with it, and you get suspended, but you don't go to jail. Now, if I try to do that in the Walmart parking lot, your boy's going to jail. But only in sports are you able to do this and be this type of person. So then, for guys who did it for a long time, when you have to come back to this normal way of living, back into general population, however you want to call it, it's a struggle to turn off the competitiveness, because the competitiveness is going to cause a certain type of thing to happen, right? I mean, there are people that come into Performance all the time that I'm so happy that they're coming, they trust us, they believe us, and their kids are coming to train with us. But there's many times that some of the dads, I'd love to just punch them right in the nose, right? And I know some of the dads go, "Is that me?" Might be you, because you don't see the big purpose of all this. The big purpose of all of this is learning how to, because this is a competitive world, right? And when I'm talking about it's conflicting, it can be confusing, but as a believer, it's tough sometimes to go back and forth. But out here in this dog-eat-dog world, we have to teach people how to healthily compete, But more importantly, the sports is teaching them how to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
It's teaching them how to take care of their body.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing all the things to help them hopefully have a successful life, but more importantly, have a healthy mind, right? That the mind health, no one cares about it. We were talking last night, people were talking about the NIL and everything else and all these stuff. They disagree. Oh, I was like, you wouldn't if your kid was a stud and was going to get $5 million. You would like it then. But I said, well, you know what I'm concerned about? And they said, what? I said, I'm concerned about all these kids' mental health. What do you mean by that? These kids are coming where I came from. We didn't have a whole lot. Now I'm getting to taste something I should never have tasted. Nobody tastes this lifestyle. And then 3 years later, I don't get drafted and I've spent all my money because you gave it all to me up front. And then you're going to say, I'm an idiot and they're stupid and I'm everything else. No, I'm just a poor kid that was never given any financial literacy. My family's never had money. I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, I'm going to get a nice car. Yeah, I'm going to get some jewelry. Yeah, I'm going to hook my boy up over here who doesn't have a pot to piss in, and I'm going to give him some money to help him start up a little restaurant, and then I'm going to end up broke. And then everyone's going to say, how did you go broke? You got $10 million. It's like, here's how. And a lot of times, a lot of these kids are extremely generous. As soon as I got drafted, I paid my parents' house off, $40,000. My dad had taken loans out over the time, paid that off, and then I gave $60,000 to the church. I cleared $600, whatever it was, after taxes. I gave $100 away. Now think about that, right? But God led me to do that, and I would forever do that. I believe you got to give. But for so many of these kids, and not to get us too far off topic, but so many of these pieces that we don't understand that the idea of sports and competition is to help with mental health, not crush mental health. And we're crushing kids. You said about the 13 years old and everything else. Kids aren't quitting at 13 for all these.
I just read the statistic.
No,
it was on the show.
But I hear them all talk about it, and I disagree with some of it.
They're saying 70% of kids, both male and female athletes, are quitting, and then gave a list of why.
Yep.
Well, it was just on his show, and I thought it was an interesting statistic.
Yeah, and there's parts of it when I hear them talk, so I listen to that. I disagree with the fact that parents are putting their kids into sports that you should know within a year or two that this isn't for my kid.
I would agree with you.
And they keep them in it because they want it. Their parents want it so bad, right? Coop did not want to do soccer. Year 2 that we're doing soccer, and he's crying about going to every practice. This isn't for him.
Time to hit the eject button.
We're not forcing it. Even if I played soccer, if you would have done the same thing with baseball, like Avery doesn't want to play softball. She played last year. Finally, son, please, Avery, please play softball. All right, Dad, I'll play. She's pretty good at it. You want to play this year? Nope. I love volleyball. All right, cool. Let's do what you love. And let's put all our effort into it. But a lot of these kids who are quitting at such an early age should have quit a long time ago, like when we did when we were kids. If I didn't get to play and I'm on the C team, I'm not trying to do it. But travel baseball, have the D team, right? We're back in the day, like even rec ball, you had A, B, and C team, maybe A and B team. And after age 11 or 12, those kids go, you know what? I'm a really good drummer, right? Or I'm a really good singer. Or, man, I love riding motorcycles and I'm really competitive at it. They spend all their time there. But because there's so much money involved in sports now, NIL deals and the scholarships. And I mean, if you're an Arkansas Razorback, right, baseball player around here, because there's no pro teams, these kids at the Miracle League event this Saturday, tomorrow, they're gonna want those guys' autographs more than they're gonna want Dustin Moseley and Jordan Wick's autograph, who played in the big league, and Jordan's still a big leaguer. That's how popular Arkansas Razorbacks are. But that's the mindset, right? I mean, their parents have pretty good players, want their kids to sign with Arkansas, and they'll never step on the field because they're not great evaluators of talent. But anyways,
here's the deal. I want to have you on for multiple episodes.
Sure.
Like around youth sports, of course, and then some things that have came up through this episode. Like, because we could spend a ton of time on so many different elements of just not just the game, of life, of business. But I want to close the show out with this, and it's just a question. And you've talked a lot about your own youth, the business that you are in. You do shape the minds and the hearts of young men, young women through performance. I said it at the very beginning. You've changed Landon's life. You really have. Landon was diagnosed ADHD on the autism spectrum. And I'm not a parent that says, hey, my son's going to go play college ball or a higher level of ball. you and I are very much in alignment, right?
Yep.
I'm one of those guys that deals with the here and the now and the truth.
Yep.
But what I do believe in, though, is allowing that game, the game that they do love, to help transform them into a man that he can be proud of when he's 25, he's 35, because all the lessons that come with it. And that's what performance, you hear the question all the time. It's somewhat cliche, but like, someone's going to ask you, hey, what do you do for business? Then someone could ask you, like, well, what business are you really in? In the business of what you really are in, especially in today's world where there's so many distractions, is you provide an environment for those like my son Landon, who, if they did not have that environment, they wouldn't even be close to realizing what their potential is. And it's helped change him, because there was a time, and I've talked to you about this, and every once in a while I'll stop by and say, hey man, don't forget why you do what you do. And I mean that. Like, I firmly believe God put you in our path, because Landon, and I know there's countless other young men in that facility in performance, but Landon, because he's my son, he didn't want to, we were trying to figure out, just due to the autism, the ADHD, like, man, what's going to click with him, whether it's the band, right, or something else. And it really ended up being baseball. And when he was 5, 6, 7, I could tell, like, he just simply wasn't 100% interested in it. It's like, look, we're going to take a break. And then we found Coach Pat, we found performance, we found the environment and the coaches and all the people that are in it. And he's fallen in love with the game. And that's something that I'm just deeply grateful for you, and for taking, honestly, your path as you talk about it. And by the way, you're one of the most courageous men that I know, because of your vulnerability. And that's what I'm drawn to when I'm around you, Dustin, is that you know what you get inside and outside, meaning like, you are who you say you are. And for me, that's very powerful in so many ways, because we live in a world to where so many people live on the surface. They live a very masked life, and everything's driven off of social media, right? And that's not you, man. And like, you are just one of those rare individuals at the core that you can count on night and day, but you can also count on you to put your heart on the line. And so, for sharing your story today, that comes with pain, and it doesn't define you. It has refined you over time. But in those moments, loss of your father, the multiple injuries, right? Just the setbacks. That's a playbook that you're able to gift these young men, these young women, and anybody that comes in contact with you. That is truly a gift. It really, really is. And I thank you for that. But that vulnerability truly is courage. And I
appreciate that.
It's very, very rare. But if you were to give advice to a younger Dustin Moseley, now this is going to be very important for, young men, whether it's the game of baseball is your love, or football, basketball, whatever, but just becoming a better man. What advice would you give, you knowing what you know now?
I would probably say to find a way early of just being proud of yourself. You're not having to have confirmation of someone being proud of you, of being proud of yourself and your accomplishments, and stopping and smelling the roses, man. You're always, the way I'm wired, I'm always shooting for the next thing. And I don't sit back and look at what I've done. I'm not grateful for the experiences and the process of it all. So you'll hear me say, trust the process, fall in love with the process, right? You said Landon has fallen in love with the game. He's fallen in love with the process of the game, right? Yeah. And he loves the game of baseball, but sometimes the game of baseball is a little bit boring, right?
For someone's mind like his, it really is.
Yeah, it's a little bit boring, but it's not when you get to the fine details of it all and how skilled you have to become.
Well, and the game is not boring to him because of how his brain works.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
How do I say this? Is like going back to what you said.
Playing it, watching it would be.
Yeah, he enjoys watching it, but playing it in the process, he does enjoy it, and has started falling more and more in love with it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
he really has. And I think the boring piece for him is a grounding effect.
Yeah,
is that if I'm making any sense there?
Because it slows you down a little bit.
It does.
Yeah. So I think that would be the biggest piece is of that. And then, just surrounding yourself with guys, try to find guys early on that are really good and really committed, and hang out with those guys. It just keeps you focused and don't get you bogged down. And, create, like, what's the dream? Like, set the dream, set the goal. Probably be the first thing. These are all things I'm just popping in my head, but first thing is, like, what is the dream and what is the goal? All right, let's define it. Let's put it down on a sheet of paper. Let's write it down, and let's create the plan. Like, and ask your mom or your dad or Coach Dustin or, Cole or whoever to help you kind of create that plan of action. Ask ChatGPT to help you. I mean, nowadays, there's when I hear kids tell me, "Well, I don't know what to do," I was like, dude, seriously, you got an iPhone? Like, it's never been easier. And so let's create the plan of action, and then let's execute. But the execution is going to depend on having people that I'm willing to let them know, I need you to hold me accountable. Mom and dad nowadays, okay, especially, and I'm not picking on moms by any means, okay, but they've birthed these little boys. Carly is always been softer on Coop than she has been on Avery, and I've always been harder on Coop than I am on Avery. I think it's just one of those things
That's how our household
that happens. Yeah. But we have to be careful as players, because if I pop back at mom doesn't like that, and mom doesn't want me upset with her, right? So I have to find, and sometimes in the family, the mom is the alpha dog that played sports and highly competitive. I know a ton of women like, I don't want to play checkers with her. Like, this is going to be a battle, And so I kind of talk about masculine and feminine energy is probably better than saying like genders. But we have to be careful, because I see more moms want to jump in the way and protect the little boys rather than allowing them to, like, take the failure, like to fail on that team, be the 10th hitter on the team and the outfielder, and earn your way into it, right? Opposed to just wanting to jump the team middle of the season. Now, maybe a better team at the end of the season for you to go find that's probably more competitive for you in that place. But those are the pieces that we have to do, is like, we have to have accountability. Like, you have to have it. I have to have it. If we don't have it, we're going to float a little bit, and we have to have that plan and goal, because the goal keeps you focused. Like, that's the thing. But I got to have the plan, and the plan may change. Like, we may have to reassess it and add some things, take some things away. The routine may change, but those would be the biggest pieces that I would say, is that find a way to stop and smell the roses. Enjoy. If you have a great game, enjoy it, brother. You might not have one for a while. Let's love it. Opposed to going, well, man, I shouldn't have punched out in that third at bat. Well, yeah, but you had 2 home runs and a double the other 3 at bats. Like, let's focus on those things. I stop kids all the time in a bullpen, and they'll throw strike, and then miss. Say it's a pretty big miss, and they're all upset and flustered. And the first thing they do is they look at who? Dad, right? And the dad's kind of, and I'll stop. I say, hold on. You just spent more time on the one that you don't want to repeat than you did the 3 we do want to repeat. And I look at the dad and I look at him. Do we know how this works? Because the human mind of what we want as far as repetition goes, whichever one I spend more time on is the one that I'm going to do more of.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay.
Where your focus goes, the energy's going to flow.
That's right. But do you know how many kids come through the doors and I'm talking to them and I ask them a question? 15, 16, 17-year-olds, Cole. And I'll ask them a question and they'll look at their dad for the answer. And I said, no. Or the dad will just jump in, or the mom, and talk for the kid. Well, guess what? When times get tough, they're not going to know how to respond and break through and solve those problems for themselves. There's no resilience, because we as parents are not protecting them. We're making them vulnerable out here in this crazy world. That you got to be able to make decisions quickly. That could be survival. It could be to make money for your family. It could be to save a relationship. But instead, I don't know, what's mom think, dad think? I used to tell Carly, he's like, stop ordering food for Coop. He can order it himself.
Yeah.
If we keep doing everything for him, he's going to feel uncomfortable.
We have the same exact conversation.
Exactly. And I understand what you're trying to do. You're going to make his life comfortable and easy and fun. That was a word, fun. Okay. Well, as we're becoming a young man, we have to grow up. And I remember for his 12-year-old birthday, I asked Carly, and Carly's a fantastic mom, which you well know, right? For the audience out here.
She's incredible.
I could have never asked for a better wife, mom.
We didn't even get into that, which is another episode in and of itself. Because there's a lot that she endured while...
Sure. She was my rock, still is. But 12 years old, I told her, I said, Carly, I need you to get out of my way with Coop. You're going to have to get out of the way. When I go get on to him and I have a conversation, tough conversation, don't come behind me into the bedroom and soften the blow. I need that blow to stay exactly where it is. We don't need to soften these things. Can you do that? Please, can you do it? She did. She did. And if anyone knows Cooper Moseley, who was dressing up in skeletons and carrying his Woodies around and coming to Performance, me begging him to come to Performance, I would have been begging my dad to take me to Performance, begging him to come to Performance. And he's in there, instead of doing anything constructive to make him better, he's building forts out of all my plyo boxes, right? And Coop will get a kick out of this and be like, Dad, why'd you say that? But early on, that's what he was into, man, right? Like when we moved to CAC, I was more interested in CAC because they have a cool drama program and all the music and everything. He was all into that, shooting YouTube videos of himself and Cooper 2.0, and he would do all this stuff. And he was just so animated and all these things. And now fast forward, those are all great things, right? Those are all things that I continue to tell him, hey, if sports don't work out, but I would have never thought in my million years Cooper Moseley would have been a football player. Never. The dude was scared of his own shadow.
He's a good one.
He's a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
But I used this conversation of having him after 12.
He's a better young man.
He is. But helping him grow up, and I wanted him to do hard things.
Yeah.
Playing football's hard. Hardest sport to play. A lot of stuff, a lot of sacrifice. And by doing that, and a coach named Patrick Smith over at CAC loved on Coop, right? Motivated Coop through some things like, dude, you can spin it, bro. Like in 7th grade, and now all of a sudden, Coop thinks, well, maybe I can be Patrick Mahomes because his dad played Major League Baseball. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty good at baseball, but not near as good as my dad. But maybe this can be my thing, and it's become his thing. And this dude, I mean, we threw a bullpen workout yesterday, and he had already had receivers set up. We drove over to Robinson for him to throw for an hour and a half. Like, he is bought into it.
That's so awesome to hear.
But a lot of it has happened of trying to encourage Coop and motivate Coop, but for me and Carly just to kind of get out of the way.
Yeah.
Accountability, encouragement. We will take you and do what you want to do, but you're going to have to show us commitment to these things, or we're not going to waste money and time doing it.
Man, you are one of my favorite people, brother.
You're as mine as well.
Well, I just appreciate you saying yes to coming on the show.
For sure.
And hang around.
Okay.
Everybody else, hang around. I've got some more questions for you, but I want to finish how I started. Extremely grateful for you, Dustin, in more ways than one.
I appreciate you having me on. Yes, sir. Thank you.